The latter is only climbed with work when the rules are transparent.
You know, that one sentence, it just hits right at the core of a frustration so many of us feel, right? We all want to believe in this simple idea. You work hard, you get good results, and you succeed. Simple. But that quote, it just points out this crack in the system. Because what happens when the rules aren't clear? Well, that's when a totally different game starts, a parallel system. And in that system, it's not about what you produce, not really. It's about what people perceive. It's a game played in those quiet chats after the meeting, or in who gets copied on that key email. It's all about controlling who knows what. And the craziest part? The rules of this game are meant to be invisible.
So what we're gonna do right now is drag that unspoken rule out into the open. Look, this isn't about complaining about office politics. No. This is about exposing the mechanics of it. We're gonna take apart piece by piece how these individuals, let's call them political operators, get ahead. And it's not by creating actual value. It's by playing the system, by exploiting their networks, and telling the right story. We're pulling back the curtain to show you exactly how they climb, usually on the backs of people doing the real work. Okay, look closely at this definition. We're being very specific with our words here. We're not calling this person a villain or a bad guy or even a slacker. We're calling them an operator, and that's a really important distinction because it shifts our focus away from their personality and onto the mechanics of what they do. See, their success isn't really about being malicious. It's about having this incredibly sharp, almost intuitive grasp of how the social wiring in a company actually works. They basically trade the hard, often unseen work of creating real value for something else, the very visible, very strategic work of social performance. It's like they're managing perception itself as a project, and information is their #1 resource to control. For them, the office isn't a workplace. It's a chessboard, and you better believe they see every single piece on the board.
And this right here is where it all gets so frustrating. It's the source of so much anxiety and honestly burnout. We're calling it the meritocracy clash. It's that awful collision between what you believe the workplace should be and what it actually is. You know the feeling, right? You're putting in the work, your stuff is flawless, but you're just stuck, spinning your wheels. And meanwhile, you see someone else just kind of floating up, seemingly on nothing but charm and who they know. That feeling? That sense of helplessness, like you're being totally gaslit by a system that says it values hard work, but actually rewards political games? It's real. And it's what we're talking about.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look, on one side you've got the belief we all hold on to. High output equals success. Makes sense, right? It's fair. It's what we're taught. But then, look at the other side. That's the reality the operator lives in. High visibility equals success. It's a total game changer. Suddenly, it's not about how good the work is. It's about who is seen to be associated with the work. And that gap, that space between output and visibility, that's not just some small thing. No way. That's the Grand Canyon of frustration that makes smart, capable people start to question everything.
And the fallout from this conflict? It's huge. It creates what experts call organizational drag. Basically, your best people, the ones actually doing the work, they get paralyzed. They feel completely undervalued because the operator is busy rewriting the story of their contributions. They can't make good decisions because the operator is hoarding all the critical information. And what happens next? They either check out mentally or they just leave. And here it is, listen closely. This is the moment control shifts, when it feels easier and safer to just do the operator's work for them than it is to actually challenge them. When that happens, you're watching the company culture start to rot from the inside out.
Okay, so the big question is, how do they actually pull this off? How does it work? Let's shift gears now. We're moving away from the frustration and we're going straight into the nuts and bolts. We're going to deconstruct the engine that drives these operators forward. Because I promise you, this isn't luck. It's not just about being charming. It is a system, a predictable machine with moving parts. And once you understand how the machine works, you're halfway to figuring out how to shut it down.
So every engine needs fuel, right? Well, the fuel for this one comes from what are called personal power bases. Think of it this way. Instead of trading on the hard currency of performance metrics, actual verifiable data, the operator trades in social currencies. And the two most powerful ones are, first, referent power. That's basically just people liking you, admiring you, wanting to be on your team. And second, informational power, which is exactly what it sounds like, controlling the flow of information. In the operator's world, these social currencies are worth way more than a pile of successful project reports.
So how do they spend that social currency? They plug it into this, a feedback loop.
It's a cycle that just keeps reinforcing itself and getting stronger over time. It starts here, at step 1. They work tirelessly to get people to see them in a favorable light, to be seen as the helpful one, the positive one, the person you can't live without. That positive perception leads directly to step 2. They cash it in for promotions, the best projects, more resources. Now with that new power, they move to step 3. They have even more control over information and can do favors for more people. And what does that do? It loops right back to the beginning, making their positive perception even stronger. And the cycle just keeps spinning, getting more powerful each time.
All right, here's the leverage point. This is the linchpin for the whole system, controlling information. The really smart operators, they find a way to position themselves right at a junction box in the company, between two teams or between a senior leader and their staff. And by sitting there, they control the flow. They control the context, the data, everything. It means your boss hears their version of the story. The other department only sees the numbers they want them to see. They literally become the narrator of reality for the people making the big decisions. It's an incredibly powerful position.
So, I know what you're thinking. How on earth do smart leaders fall for this? It's a great question. And the answer is actually pretty fascinating. It's not because leaders are stupid, not at all. It's because this whole system is designed to exploit some very basic, very predictable blind spots in our own psychology, especially when we're busy and under a lot of pressure. See, the operator isn't just playing the org chart, they're playing the human brain.
So exploit number 1 is something called cognitive load. Just think about it. Leaders, executives, they are absolutely slammed. They're drowning in information, they have a million decisions to make, they just don't have the time or the mental energy to double-check every single thing. And the operator knows this, so what do? They don't give the leader a complicated report with tons of data. No, they give them a simple story, a clean, easy-to-digest narrative that, surprise, surprise, always has them looking like the hero. And when you're overloaded, you will almost always take the simple story over the complex truth. It's just human nature.
Exploit number 2 is a powerful little glitch in our brains called attribution bias. Basically, our minds are lazy. We tend to give credit for success to the most visible person, not necessarily the person who did the work. The operator is a master of this. They make sure they are always strategically present. They might not have written the report, but they're the one presenting it in the big meeting. They're the one giving the quick update to the VP in the hallway. They become the face of success. And after a while, leaders' brains just make the connection automatically. Hey, that person is always around when things go well. They must be the reason things go well. It's a simple and totally wrong conclusion.
Okay, this third one. This one is maybe the most clever and a little bit sneaky. It's called reciprocity pressure. The operator is always doing these small, strategic, and this is key, very visible favors. Getting you a piece of information quickly, or giving you a heads up about some change coming down the pike. Now, these aren't just random acts of kindness. Oh no, they are transactions. Every little favor is like a deposit into a social bank account. They are building up a debt of obligation from everyone around them. So when the time comes that you maybe should speak up or question what they're doing, you hesitate. You think, oh, but they were so helpful to me. And that tiny moment of hesitation, that's their shield. That's all they need.
And boom, this is where the trap closes. It's the perfect storm. You've got the overloaded leader who's just desperate for a simple answer. You've got the friendly, familiar face of the operator who seems to always be connected to success, and you've got this wall of social obligation they've built. The leader chooses the easy story from the friendly face over digging into the messy, complicated data. And in that one moment, it's over. The game is won. Perception has officially beaten performance. Hands down.
All right, we've taken the system apart, we've looked at the engine, we've seen how it games our psychology. So now what? Well, now we activate the counter protocol. We are shifting from analysis to action. The goal here is to give you real, tactical things you can do to change the game. To move the focus away from the operator's fake currency of visibility and back to the real currency of actual, verifiable results. First things first, you have to learn how to spot the operator's signal. So here's what to look for. It's not just one of these things, it's the whole pattern. They have a ton of meetings, they're always talking to people, a really high social presence. But when you ask, what had they actually produced? The answer is kind of vague, hard to pin down. And you'll see it, that constant stream of small, strategic, very public favors. Remember, they're not just being nice, they are building that shield. Seeing that pattern is the absolute first step.
Okay, countermeasure number 1. Let's call it the value visibility protocol. It's about making your value impossible to ignore. Step 1, and this is so important,
Document your work and, critically, its impact. Not just I did this, but I did this and it resulted in X. Step 2 is a really smart move. Give credit away, specifically to the people below you who helped. When you publicly praise your team, you're building real alliances based on loyalty, not those fake transactional favors. And finally, step 3, get those documented results out there. Make them visible to everyone, not just your boss. You have to go around the operator's little information gate.
Countermeasure number 2 is more direct. We'll call this the verification friction protocol. This is all about breaking their monopoly on information. So step 1, just listen. Listen for those big claims they make without any data to back them up. Step 2, you have to ask for the proof. Politely, but firmly. Something simple like, wow, that's interesting. Could you share the data on that? I'd love to see it. The big goal here is step 3, make this normal for everybody. When asking, can I see the source for that, becomes a standard part of your culture, the operator's whole world of smoke and mirrors just falls apart. You're literally rewriting the rules of the game.
So as we wrap this up, let's talk about the ultimate advantage. We've established that the operator deals in a currency of perception and social favors. But what if I told you there's a much more powerful currency, one that you can build that's completely immune to their games and that can totally flip the power dynamic back in your favor?
So, after all this, the whole system, the psychology, the tactics, what's the one big idea you should walk away with? What's the thing that will give you the upper hand, no matter how political things get?
Here it is. This is the mental weapon you need to remember. Volatility is vulnerability. Think about it. The operator's power. It's incredibly volatile. It's based on who likes them, what people think of them, who's in charge. One reorg and poof, it's gone. But stability is the most valuable power resource. The power you build by being consistently excellent, by delivering work that is verifiable and high impact, that power is stable. It's real. It lasts. Because at the end of the day, the person who can be counted on to get things done holds the real power. That's stability. That's your shield. And that's your sword.